am not the only one drawn to this place. With each passing day, more converge upon Earth. Pilgrims await. Some already arrived. Others still walking paths they do not yet understand. This gathering intrigues me. They exist in the space between heaven and hell. Their choices now will carve the shape of their eternity. But do they truly know what they are? What forces stir beneath their feet while they play their part on the board? Pawns, perhaps. Or something far more significant. Death lingers near. Yet the dead do not rest. Their whispers grow louder. Their stories claw to the surface. Deeds once buried in shadow now stray for the light. These saints, these sinners, they are unlike any I've seen. Complex, flawed, powerful. Some barely cling to their soul. Others shine so brightly, I dare not look away. They have been chosen for what lies ahead, and nothing in this world or the next will ever be the same. I must watch them, for within this fractured group lies the thread to a mystery far greater than they can fathom, and soon it will unravel.
Okay, hello guys. So that was the trailer for Saints and Sinners, and that's of course the big news. We got Andrew here in the chat. I'm going to copy the link. So if you want to come on, we can of course talk about that. But let's just get a bit closer to the mic. We'll see if you can swing the free time. It's of course okay. If you just want to lurk, that is okay. We'll go to I guess. Not sure exactly what I want to do for now. We'll X out of this. So yes, this is of course Saints and Sinners, having made, I believe, over $150,000 in the, well, not even first week, because this of course launched it launched on Monday. That was the 12th of May. So it's been about it's been about 4 days. And of course, this was the big event that was live streamed. And then Eric had or I guess I should say, you guys all had the event where Eric brought on all the writers. And we've got the Saska sisters. We've got Heels versus Babyface. We've got Critical Drinker. We've got Jay David, Junk 3PO, who did Achromatic Chronicles. And the really interesting thing is that Cliff Richards is working on this. We're getting a Ingrid solo story after the death of Wilkins. So it's really, really interesting to get into that. But I guess might as well go. We'll remove this and then I get copyrighted for that. Man, let's see. But we'll share the window here. We'll do that. And then we'll add that to stage. Wonderful. And I can switch. We'll X out of that. But we've got the main, I guess this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 stories. So Of course, the first story is Chasing Ghosts, which is Ingrid Valdez strikes out solo to face the emotional and moral fallout of the Wilkins tragedy in a story packed with grit, heat, and personal reckoning. So it's probably going to be in between Alpha Core 1 and 2. Really interesting to see that. Of course, it's going to be a little fix. Assuming that we get this book before Alpha Core, we most likely will get this book because this book is slotted to come out and get delivered late Q3 2025, and I believe that's probably around September, I think, if I'm getting my dates correct. So we'll probably have Alpha Core 2 open for pre-order on that, but we'll most likely get Satan's Sin. Well, I would say we're going to get Satan's and Sinners before we get Alpha Core 2. So this is going to be a nice little Chasing Ghosts is going to be a nice little holdover for people like myself who are big fans of Alpha Core. And of course, we love Ingrid Valdez, and I believe I had someone leave a comment to me one of the live streams saying they'd love to see an Ingrid Valdez short story, and that's what we're getting. So next one is A Cross to Bear. So Cameron Cross has partnered with Mick Davies in a heavy tension-filled mission that tests their beliefs and reveals the cost of living with emotional scars. Of course, Cross to Bear, it's got a lot of it's a Christian it's a heavy Christian theme, right? I believe it's in Matthew's gospel, if I'm remembering correctly. Jesus says, "Pick up your cross, deny yourself, and follow me." And that's one of his core. I'd say it's very core to his teaching. But anyway, that's I'm going to get off track. Right, keep talking about stuff like that. We've got, of course, The Weight of Restraint. Hard choices are made that shape men into what they are meant to be. Eric July is, of course, writing this. We got Elias Martins on the art for that. Let's see. Oh, we got Zayd Comics in the chat. Absolutely fantastic to see you, Zayd Comics. I know you're live streaming in about 90 minutes, so not going to step on your toes. It seems like we have a good like a schedule for live streams, even though not that many people watch live streams. Of course, we've got Student of God in the chat as well. We got some people, we went from 2 to 5 viewers. Absolutely fantastic. If you guys are just coming in, really haven't missed much. We're of course talking about Saints and Sinners. This is the first anthology from the Rippaverse, and this is honestly a really cool thing that the Rippaverse is doing now. Is this like the biggest announcement from the Rippaverse? I mean, in a way, yes. Other ways, no. I might have hyped it up just a little bit too much because I was thinking maybe Rippaverse Studios is going to release something. We're going to get new memberships, like something that's going to be like outside of a comic. But this is definitely a massive collaboration. You've got a lot of people working on this. Is a 112 pager with, I believe, yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories. And so that's going to be 1, 2 divided by 6. So that's about, each one's going to be about, it's going to be 15 to 20 pages per story. So it's going to be pretty significant. But yeah, we got Mike Has Bad Knees. Of course, nice to see you in the chat as well. So yes, so we've got, was going with Bode God, a violent, chaotic thrill ride, introduces all new characters destined to shake up the Rippaverse. We got Caleb Edwards writing that, Will Conrad doing the art. Of course, he did Gooding, the Polymath, and of course, he's the artist for the Dokumon card. So it's going to be fantastic to see him have more interior work. And of course, this is the one that I'm the most excited for. This is Larry Shungite steps into the spotlight. This is the underdog, and I remember saying, like, oh, like Big Tuna could appear in the Rippaverse again. It would just have to be before Horseman Welcome to Florespark, and that seems to be the case because we'll go and we won't hear the audio. I'm hearing the audio, but we don't necessarily. Oh, here we go. Here we go, guys. Look at this big tuna, right? So this is of course tuna, right? This is of course a younger tuna. So this short story is going to chronicle Larry Shungite rising into the SSWL, and I think like a short story that covers the SSWL is a pretty cool way to introduce the concept. Is a really niche thing to have a wrestling comic. So to have it be part of an anthology is really good. And this is one of the fantastic things of having an anthology is that you can do stuff that's a little bit more, I guess, risky, or stuff that's not, as liable to be as popular because it's being packaged with other books. We've got Drunk 3PO in the chat. Absolutely nice to see you. Of course, you are one of the writers on the book. I've got the StreamYard link in the chat if you want to come up, you want to talk about the story that you're writing, if I can get it up here. See, I believe One Little Push is your story. If you want to come into the StreamYard, I've got the link there. Tuna when he still had good Tuna when he was still not sleeping with the fishes, right? But yeah, absolutely really cool. I mean, absolutely really cool. But so cool to see what that is. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you don't want to come in to the chat, that's fine. But I would love to talk to one of the writers. But you're busy, you got stuff going on. That's fine. Of course, I love fact that you just showed up. That's really, really cool. But we have, I don't know, I'm just going to be talking about Saints and Sinners. That's what's going to be the next episode for Braxcast. But it's not like that's the only thing that's going on with the Rippaverse. Of course, we're getting Zalen. It's begun fulfillment. So 15th, that was yesterday, being Thursday. Yes, I love the wrestling in the universe. That's what Student of God is saying. I love that too. But to bring this back to Zalen is getting fulfilled. I got my shipment notification. I was initially going to get the books on Saturday, but FedEx is telling me I'll get it on Sunday. So Saturday's Braxcast, you watch the pre-recorded episode, or the recorded episode, I should say. That'll just be covering Saints and Sinners, and I'll be going over all the stories, who's doing that along with the covers. Oh, we got John Delarose who's saying good evening, Colony West fans. Hey, John, I've got the link up here. If you want to come, you want to gab with me a little bit, that's absolutely fantastic. We can talk about how much we love Ye's music, of course. But yes, I agree. This is a party. Absolutely a party. Mike has bad news. So I've got the link there. So if anybody wants to come in, have a little chat. But of course, I got my shipment notification, like I said, for Zale, and I was going to get it on Saturday. You're in El Salvador on a beach maybe next week. Well, don't do anything that'll get you arrested, John. You do not want to be in an El Salvadorian prison, from what I hear. But I also hear it's probably a really nice place, considering all the people that were doing all the gangbang and all that stuff are in those prisons. But anyway, that's, I guess, getting into geopolitics. But anyway, hopefully you're having a good time. I was looking for a Maryland man, but can't find him. I'm not sure exactly what that joke is getting into, but hopefully you're having a little nice little vacation. But like I said, Zalen is getting fulfilled. So if you guys have Zalen ordered and you don't have it in your hero stash, you didn't order with Yaira or Isom Free or anything else, you should be getting that shipped out to you. If not this week, if you didn't get it by today, they'll start shipping out the rest of it next week. And with how quick they are at fulfilling, too deep of a joke, I tried. Yes, I have a decent sense of humor, but I don't get everything. But like I said, I was initially going to get Zalen on Saturday, but FedEx is delaying the package. So, like I said, with Braxcast 65, that's just going to be covering Saints and Sinners, going over everything for Saints and Sinners. And then on Sunday, I'll get Zalen, What Kills Must Die. I'm going to read that. I'm going to give my review on that. And then next week's episode of Braxcast, I'll show off all 4 of those covers, along with whatever happens in the week for Rippaverse, which decent chance is going to be a good amount of stuff. So Mike has bad niece, has a Maryland father. If you were in Congress, you would see him. See, I'm not exactly sure. I know there was the one who was sleeping. I talked about this on. I'm not sure if you guys watch or listen to In the Velvet Room with Joker the Fool. That's my podcast where I talk about politics and stuff in the culture that's outside of comic books. I talked about this judge that was aiding illegal immigrants. She got indicted by a grand jury, and I didn't mention this because this was it happened the day. So I do it Tuesday and Thursday. On Mondays and Wednesdays, very early in the morning, one of the first things I do, I set the topics where I'm going to talk about. In the article I cover was just the indictment. Of course, she put in her plea for not guilty. So it's going to be really fun to see how that goes. Yeah, so at least someone gets John's sense of humor. It's fantastic to see. But what is really fantastic to see, like I said, is that Zalen is getting fulfilled. So, like I said, going to be reading Zalen, going to be covering it, of course. None of the graded books for Zalen are going to be shipping out with this because that started way after. And I think, honestly, if Andrew's still listening to me, I think that's what they should do for basically all the collections going forward. Horseman #1, and I think Yaira #3 have the collection, have the graded books, they launched with the collection, but you should do all the signed and graded at a later date, launch it afterwards, so that way it doesn't have to hold up, because that's the biggest thing that holds up fulfillment is those slabs. I love my slabs. I've got 2 boxes full of slabs, like I said. But it's reading the comics are meant to be read before they're meant to be collected, and of course there are people who are philosophically against the slabs in general. Yes, A Comics Drunk GPO is in my chat. He also left a comment on my Achromatic Chronicles review, so very, very nice of him to do that. So he's got love for this channel, at least a little bit of love for this channel. I gotta absolutely appreciate that. But you know what I really have love for is this anthology series. This is an absolutely fantastic start to the anthology series. And this is, of course, launching with the, 5th deck of Dokemon cards. So, yes, of course, Drunk VPO saying hi to Zaid, presumably. But we'll go over all 5 covers of the, let's see. We've got cover, if we can do. Oh man, what am I doing? It seems like, let's see, we'll open the link in the new tab. This is cover A here. This is, of course, Ingrid's short story. Does seem like we have the same accept that appears in Great War Separation. We're most likely going to see her in Great War Separation too, so you guys can see her. Of course, it seems like Ingrid is having some sort of like otherworldly experience. You see like her soul leaving her body. Of course, you've got this helmet here. You've got, it's got a Alpha Core there, and you've got you kind of got the Alpha Core logo there, or at least, yeah, I think the A is like a bit offset. It almost looks like an F, but I think that's the A, and then that's kind of like a C, and that's like a little dividing line there. Let's see. Of course, I'm here, but always we note fan feedback. Absolutely appreciate that. All the covers are great, but something about that cover D. So we'll check out cover D. We'll go. Let's see. No, that is cover C. And this is cover D. And I'm assuming you like cover D because this is your story, right? This is, I am guessing, Across to Bear. Oh, yes, you're the one who's writing. I mixed it up. It wasn't One Little Push. It was Across the Bear. This is one that you are writing. And of course, this is, of course, very heavy on the Christian theme. Of course, this guy looks like, he's got a cross there. He's got that cross shirt. Not necessarily a priestly clothing, but definitely probably a military chaplain if I had to take a guess on who this character is. But of course, Jay knows that. Yeah, let's see, Drunk 3PO. He got my buddy on that cover. I guess that is maybe a bit of an inside joke. The cheap cover is the cheapest because it's the worst cover. Well, we'll go into cover E. So this is the mass print cover. I'm not sure if you're saying this is a bad cover or the other covers are just so good it makes it the worst one. This is, of course, done by Kane White. Kane is a fantastic artist, and he really knocks it out of the park with this one as well. We got Logic's Finest in the chat. And I look forward to reading Saints and Sinners. I brought Achromatic Chronicles for my little niece. Great work, sir. Salute. I agree. I read and I reviewed both Achromatic Chronicles, blue and green, and kind of escaping me which colors, and I liked it. I think it's a genuinely good book. think he's being a troll. Yeah, I think he's being a little bit of a troll. But Student of God talking about cover E. This is, of course, like I said, the Mashburn cover looks absolutely fantastic. We got Larry Shungai here. We got Ingrid Valdez here. We've got the other characters that appear in this short story. And of course, we've got a massive list of credits here, including the Saskas, including Heels versus Babyface, Jay David as well. Absolutely fantastic to see this massive collaboration. I hope the Saints and Sinners anthology series is something that continues, because you can do so much with this. And the fact that this is made over $150,000 in the, let's see, yeah. We'll go to Saints and Sinners number 1. Jay, who knows? But we'll go to the collection page here. All right. Like I said, 4,200 books sold, $152,000 in total sales. That's just in 4 days. And of course, this is going to be sold in perpetuity after that collection period ends, which will end on the 18th of July at 11 p.m. Central. So we've got a really strong start to this anthology series. So I hope it's something that you guys keep on doing. Of course, I know Andrew's listening. So I definitely want you guys to keep on doing this. And of course, I will be reading and reviewing this. I'm so behind on my comic book reviews. I need to review the Narwhal Shorts Compendium, but I have done short story review, or I guess I think I Lost Pages is basically like an anthology review, and I forgot there was one other I did that was a collection of stories, and I reviewed that as well. So it'll be like that, where I'll give a very short, brief overview of each story, and I'll give my take on it. But let's see. I gotta wait till the last day. The hardcover should be available by then. A hardcover for Saints and Sinners. I'm not sure if that's a confirmed thing, but that'd be pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yes, I'm a big Rippaverse fan. Keep up the work of the entire company. And then Andrew says, finest. Thank you to Logic's finest. We appreciate every dang one of you. Definitely feel that from Andrew. That's the energy I always get whenever Andrew and the rest of the Rippaverse crew talk about the fans. Very appreciative. And of course, we appreciate you guys as well. I think it's very mutual between the fan base and you guys, because you give us what we want, and then we respond in kind. But this, like I said, I think having an anthology series for the Rippaverse is going to be a really good thing, because like I was saying before, all you guys came in here, and we got Garfield's Bizarre Adventure in here. Absolutely fantastic to see you. And we got 14 people in the chat, so absolutely love to see all of you guys here, even if you're just lurking. I love my lurkers as well. The cool thing with an anthology series is that it gives you this ability to just experiment. So you can have stuff like Across the Bear, and I know this is Jay David's book, but it's not necessarily something that's going to be if it's got heavy religious themes, right? Because it definitely does. We can go back to this cover D here, right? You've got the cross there, and of course you've got the cross necklace and cross there. Like I said, this looks like a story about a military chaplain. But of course, Jay is not going to confirm or deny anything that I'm saying, and yay, right? And we'll find out when we get the books some point in, I guess, towards the end of quarter 3. But a story like this isn't something like, hey, it's a cool idea, but it's not necessarily good enough to get even a 50-page book, or something around Gooding the Polymath. So you can have a 20-page version of that story, lump it in with a bunch of other short stories, sell that as an anthology, and if the fans come and say, we love Across the Bear, we want more of it, then it can get greenlit for a whole series, right? Or just a graphic novel, right? Same thing with the Underdog. Same thing with all these stories. So it allows the writers and the artists to be a bit more experimental, and it also allows more stuff to get introduced. And of course, we can always expand on characters in the Rippaverse, more characters that are side characters like Ingrid. And I'm not going to say that Ingrid is like a side character, but she definitely is a character that's part of a trio. So to give her own book isn't a bit unjustified, but to have her own short story, I think definitely is. And I think it's a fantastic way to give us more of characters that we like that necessarily don't need to have their own series or books dedicated to them. Fantastic idea. So I really hope that the Rippaverse does more of this. And of course, I think, at least for now, financially, it's going to be justified. And of course, we won't know how the fans respond to these books or to these stories, to the anthologies, in terms of its quality, from in terms of its quality, until it gets fulfilled, the fans read, and then they give their feedback, right? Of course, but assuming that conforms to how it's been for the people who read and are genuine fans, most likely going to have this anthology series be something that continues on into the future. Okay, thank you. It's kind of an introduction to Cameron Cross. Could only put so much on 15 pages. Yeah, only so much you can do with that length. But like I said, if we all read Cameron Cross and we think like, Jay, you knocked it out of the park. This is one of the best stories that has come out of the Rippaverse. Of course, Eric's going to be coming to you and being like, hey, Jay, we need a 72-page graphic novel script from you, stat, and then you get on that, and that it becomes its own collection. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that turns out. I already know how it's going to end. Okay. Well, I guess I know other side of the fence. You came on. I wouldn't say you were antagonistic, but you definitely were disagreeable to the Rippaverse, which is okay. So if you think that it's not going to end well, I guess I'm putting words into your mouth. But how whatever you think, I guess is perfectly okay. But for me, I think I'm going to make my prediction that people are going to be happy with the anthology and want more of it, more Saints and Sinners books after they read this one. I love the concept. I just like I said, I think an anthology series is something that's really, really good for the Rippaverse because it just gives them so much flexibility to introduce and expand the lore. Let's see. So, saying the story. Let's see. Are you talking about Across the Bear? Like you're predicting the general plot? And if you do, that's that's really okay. I like I said, I don't want to think you're like I said. I think I was putting words in your mouth, and for that I apologize. Let's see. So let's see. Garfield. I think Logic's finest is telling Garfield, I think your humor doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Always a pleasure to see you destroy the haters of humor and rational thinking. I watch from the corner. Respect, sir. I do like Garfield a lot. Garfield's, of course, been, he's left a lot of comments on my videos. He's been in my live streams very consistently. So GBA, absolutely one of my dear subscribers. So absolutely, I have the only kind thing to say about him. But we'll go through, let's see, we went through cover, this is cover B. And yeah, there's 5 covers. So there's not one for every single story, but they are ones that highlight the biggest ones. This, I think this might be, yeah, I think this is most likely Chasing Ghosts. This is Az's story. So we've got Az, Heels versus Babyface. Of course, he hosts Ripping the Silverback with Eric. They do that. Used to be every Wednesday, but Eric's schedule has gotten so crazy with the Rippaverse that that's like more like every other Wednesday, it seems. And it's not something I watch a lot. After Rippaverse launch is really when I kind of, I was in this habit of watching for canon's sake, basically. Every day he was putting it out, and then once Rippaverse launched and he went on that big hiatus, I really haven't I gravitated towards other stuff. But of course, I'm still really invested in the Rippaverse, and that's where his online presence is just pushing the Rippaverse comics. Is that Az's story? Are you sure? I think so, because actually no, it's not. I think I think yeah, this is Bone God, most likely Bone God. So let's see. I'm not sure if As a Story has its own cover. Because actually, yeah, no wait. What am I even saying? Of course it does. Do 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 do. There we go. Of course this is As a Story. What am I saying? I'm yes, absolutely I'm absolutely delusional. But this I was showing this off first. This is As a Story, right? Yeah. So yeah, the green girl is Ingrid Valda. She is technically the newest member of the Alpha Corps. Not really. Technically she isn't, but Yeah, actually, Stefania is the newest member of the Alpha Corps with the end, at the end of Yaira number 1 and beginning of basically Yaira number 2. Although with the ending of Yaira number 2, it's in question if Stefania is going to stay in the Alpha Corps. She'll even be a free woman, but that's a whole other thing. But when the Alpha Corps was initially introduced, um, Ingrid was the newest member, recommended by Braxwell, and this is taking place after Alpha Core 1, so it's going to be in between Alpha Core 1 and Alpha Core 2. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this integrates with, of course, Alpha Core number 1, how that picks up with the fallout from Wilkins' death. So, of course, if you read Alpha Core number 1, Wilkins dies at the end. He saved the city from Eagle's Nest. He has this like metallicokinesis, if I'm saying that correctly, and he uses that power to stop Eagle's Nest, which is Alpha Core's massive flying base, prevents the city from falling apart. But of course, he overextends himself so much that he dies. And this short story is basically picking up with that fallout. While Ingrid was probably the one who was most affected by the death of Wilkins. So it's going to be really, really interesting to explore her character more. Of course, it's going to be about 15 pages or so. So it's not going to give us much, but it's going to give us a little bit. And of course, I think, we got the motorcycle here, we got this helmet here. So it's just going to be a really cool story. Yes, definitely was close, I would say. So John would love if the ass story had pronouns. I mean, I personally, I know you're saying this as a joke. You're being a bit of a funny guy with that one, but personally, I just want this to give up me more details about Ingrid, like more lore about the Alpha Core. That's what I want from the story as a fan of Alpha Core, because Alpha Core 1 I absolutely loved, and I've been on the record for this so many times that I'm sure you guys that listen to me consistently know that Alpha Core 2 is one of my most anticipated books for the Rippaverse, and that maintains to be the case. And hopefully, Joe is getting hopefully Joe is really getting to work on those Alpha Core 2 pages, because I absolutely need to read that book soon. But that is, of course, the cover A for Saints and Sinners. Let's see. Let's place a bet that she gets a mech suit. Possibly. I honestly, if we have to do a gentleman's bet, that on her getting a mech suit, I think it's unlikely, because she already has she's got the whips. So actually, I should open up cover. I should actually open it up. So if you see these whips here, right, this is her main power. So I think if she had, it's not associated with her suit. So I mean, she might get a suit that enhances those powers. But she does have those whips. That's her main power there. That's really what I think is going to be her main power. And I think if she got a suit, it would just, I'm not sure if it would make her more of a target. I'm not sure how much of a help it would be. And with the way the Alpha Core is going, they're barely justified. So I don't think they're going to spend like multi-millions on giving Ingrid a mech suit. But I could be wrong. Andrew was saying Joe is knocking out of the pages like a beast on Alpha Core number 2. I expect nothing less from a comic book master like Joe. Maybe a cool as Easter egg in the background of a story. Anything else would be cheesy. Yeah, I mean, if you had some like reference to like as is like, I would say, I guess Meltdown. I guess Crash Out over Starfields would be a funny thing if it was like in the background of one page, but for it to have like any sort of prominence in the plot would be a bit cringe. Let's see. Think of it as a hat for your hat. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think my hat needs a hat. That's the thing. That's the point I'm making, is that I think it just be it wouldn't be that useful for Ingrid. And like I said, if you were to get a mech suit like that, it would be funded by the Forest Park Police Department, and the Forest Park Police Department is barely justifying the existence of the Alpha Core, especially after the events of Alpha Core number 1, which is which is what took place just before this short story. So I do not think Ingrid is going to get anything like that. She's on thin ice, maybe quite literally, with the fact that she's Alpha Core is going to be having an encounter with Yaira in Yaira number 2, and of course Yaira number 3 as well. We don't put those sorts of direct real world content references in our work. Yeah, that's to be expected. And honestly, that's the way I want to keep it. Because I don't want this sort of like that sort of it opens up the door to being didactic and moralizing. And this is the issue that exists in the Marvel and DC comics, and modern ones like post 2015 is where you're using these real world references. And there was like covers of like there was like I think one it's like in 2016 one that's basically depicting like Hillary Clinton as some sort of like superhero, stuff like that's absolutely cringe. And it's not something that really is living up to the spirit of the comic book. So I definitely see why you guys are going to avoid doing that, which is why I would have that preference for that. But I think some people would like to have like a little Az reference in there because Az has that kind of personality about him. And of course, there's an overlap between readers of Rippaverse and people who are fans of the Heels versus Babyface channel. But yeah, I mean, the big news for today is let's see, nobody in their right mind would believe Hillary as a superhero. I mean, that's why you have to be propagandized into thinking that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody who has any sort of like critical thinking skills and isn't like drinking the blue flavored or the blue colored Kool-Aid, blue flavored, whatever you want to say, would honestly believe Hillary Clinton is worth making a comic book about. But I remember Sargon covering that during like the 16 election cycles, like I don't know, yeah, over almost 10 years ago at this point. Let's see. So Caffeinated Wolf not asking for specifics. Are all of the books announced for 2025 released, done, and ready for printing? Are the creators working on 26 stuff or completing 2025 releases still? Well, I think Andrew gave a pretty good answer. Alpha Core 2 is still being worked on by Joe, and that is being released in 2025, right? So clearly it's probably a mixture of both. Of course, you got Cliff Richards who did the short story, I think he's doing the Underdog. We'll go open up the oh yes, and of course we've got milestones here. So yeah, the 5,000 books sold is where the hardcover is going to be added, which Mike mentioned. So absolutely didn't forgot to do that. Let's see. So 250 is going to be a concept art book. 350 is going to be those cover reveals, and 500,000 is going to be a new title announcement. So hopefully we hit all these milestones. And honestly, the fact that 4,200 books have been sold and it hasn't even been a week, the 5,000 books sold means the hardcover is going to come out inevitably. 250K is going to be a pretty good deal. And you're going to get a new concept art book featuring original designs by Marcos Rios. Of course, he's the Rippaverse concept artist. Absolutely fantastic to see. But we've got Harkin, who says it's cool to have Zachary Levi shout out early this week on X. Hopefully doing something with the Rippaverse works out. And of course, he mistyped Rippaverse because he's on mobile. That's all good. I've made plenty of typos. We've got 70 people in the chat. Yeah, that's another thing I forgot because I'm a bit lost. But yeah, if we go Zachary Levi, of course, Zachary Levi. Yes, here we go. He's Shazam. Of course, Shazam used to be Captain Marvel. That was a DC character, and then there was all of this, conflict between Marvel and DC legally over the name. So Captain Marvel became Shazam, and the Shazam character is who he plays in the Shazam movies. And there's two, and I haven't seen either of them, but people generally are pretty kind of like them. They are pretty good for the recent DC movies. Of course, we have the no DC EU, whatever James Gunn is calling it, and I don't know. I haven't watched any of the Superman trailers, but people are, I don't know, iffy about it. Some people are really hyped, other people are I think most people are really just tuned off to the thing. So it's going to have to be where the movie comes out. It's a really good movie for Superman, and then people start watching it word of mouth. So if it comes out and it has a really strong showing, like word of mouth, then I could see that movie making $1 billion and redeeming DC. But I'm skeptical of that being the case. I can't find the tweet, but Zach was saying that he was interested in working with the Rippaverse and making the implication. I'm sure Andrew knows this, and it's all NDA. That they are going to be working on something together. So it'd be really cool to see, like if there's a Rippaverse Studios project, and you got Zachary Levi who's doing a voice for, I don't think Brian Solari, but let's say he's doing a voice for not Horseman, because Dean Cain is doing Horseman. Maybe he does an animation with Zalon. He's going to be the voice actor for Zalon. Who knows? I'm just throwing stuff out here. But yeah, it's really really cool to see someone like Zachary Levi, and of course, I was scrolling through his Twitter. He's retweeting stuff about RFK Jr. He's definitely not pushing that standard Hollywood talking point. Of course, unless you were signing off on Moloch and Ball Worship, you can't be a part of Hollywood. So Zachary Levi's kind of made himself a bit of a pariah for Hollywood. So going to working with the Rippaverse seems to be a bit of a natural thing. But we've got Dokumon in the chat, of course. Very nice that Dokumon watches my streams. Let's see. Rippaverse is really carving out its own lane in comic books. I'm loving the new lane and the books. Great work all around is what, let's see, Logic Finest said. And this is in response to Andrew saying that all of the books were announced as part of the Reveal Showcase and currently in various states of production and still on pace for this year, in addition to unannounced ones. Ooh, boy. Can't wait to hear what those unannounced books are, but that's, of course, NDA. Let's see. Yeah, appreciate having such dedicated comic book fans making up our fandom. I do as well. And gives me, we got 17 people watching. I absolutely love doing the Braxcast, and I just love talking about the Rippaverse, man, because I'm a nerd. It's not like I have a girlfriend. It's not like I have friends. This is my hobby. But yeah, I definitely, part of that, like, I need to balance it out. I need to have an in-person community, as well as having, being part of this fandom, of course. But the thing is that, I'm more of a nerd than I am, I guess a normal person. But anyway, Mike has bad news is saying that he's voicing Braxwell. Would be Zachary Levi. That'd be cool to see. We'll see what happens with that. Somewhat Levi from Michael Copper. I would agree. It would be refreshing seeing or hearing him in a more villainous role. That's from Dokumon. Honestly, that would be pretty interesting. And of course, Michael Copper, Lilian Renashi are being set up to be the biggest consistent heels in the Rippaverse. Of course, Darren Fontano is the main antagonist for Isima's story, but Lilian and Michael are the antagonists for the Rippaverse in general, because of course they're the main antagonists for Alpha Core. They're antagonists in Horseman Welcome to Florist Park, and of course they're the main antagonists. Well, not necessarily the main antagonists, but they definitely are in Blood Roof #1, and they are still I would say the bad guys in that story, but they're kind of in the periphery, whereas Blood Roof's main focus on that is of course, I believe, was the 4 beings from hell. You've got the greater demons and the devils. If I'm remembering everything correctly, and those are, of course, the main enemies of the story. And it's much more of the supernatural Blood Roof fighting against the demons, of course, quite literally. I think it was something to do with his charity work with regards to mental health for nerds. But I think it's cool. He likes Rippaverse. Yeah, that's what it seemed like. It's going to be a charity collaboration, rather than him doing a Rippaverse Studios project. It's not that he would be closed off to it. It's just that I don't think Rippaverse Studios is in that state where they're constantly making content. Hopefully, Lord willing, they get there one day, and we have casting announcements, and Zachary Levi's part of that. But for now, That does not seem to be the case. So Student of God is saying you got a lot of positive feedback on this, and we'll open this up here, and we'll get that right there. Oh yes, I remember him DMing me about this, and I kind of I always get lost because you guys come in the chat and you talk to me about stuff, but basically doing like a collage set of covers, and I think the most interesting while you guys look at that there. Let's see. Is the anthology all in Texas, other side of the fence is saying. And I don't think that it is. I think some of it's going to be taking place outside of Forest Park, but that's really a wait and see sort of thing. I think as a story, whatever, forget what as a story is called, that's most likely going to be taking place in Forest Park. As an epic level troll, I'd love to see Zachary Levi come out and say, yes, it's true. The real Captain Marvel, the first and only. That would be absolutely funny. But yeah, I think a really cool thing to do. Let's see if I can show like the manga spine covers. Like, so if you see like a collection of manga, if I can find the let's see if I can find it something like that. Like all the Dragon Ball manga collection. Because I think this would be a cool thing. What am I saying? So yeah, I think something like this, because I'm showing this off right now. We'll zoom in on this a little bit. If not sure if it's gonna, let me actually open the image identity tab, and we'll close that there. And of course, we see that there. I think a collage like this would be really cool for an event. If you had like the first free issues, so let's say I don't know, yeah, like I'm not sure, like doing 9 covers for one book would be good. But if you, let's say, had like a free issue event or something like that, or you had like the first 3 issues of let's say a 5-page mini of series, a 5-page book, a 5-book event, right? And you had these like limited edition covers where like the first 3 covers of each book were these, let's say cover A to C are the limited editions, and they all depict this, something like that. I think that'd be a really, really cool thing to do. But I think if I can find it here, because I'm looking for a good example of what I am talking about with manga, because manga does this, and I think I found it. I think I found a really low res version of, extremely low res, it's useless. But manga does this with the spines. So of course, you've got manga series that have, let's see, because I got it in, let's see, because manga will have this thing where you'll have all of the, man, I should have remembered to do this. I kind of got lost that. Let's see. But the point is that you have something like this where on the spines of the books, I don't know, let's see, with spine art. But basically, if I can, yeah, actually, yes, I found it. I found something like this. The highlight what I'm talking about. Not open link, open image in new tab. Bear with me, guys. But yeah, we can go. It's really low res, but if you see what I'm talking about, right? You see 25, 26, or basically all of that, and it makes up one image when you have all of them on the shelf. Doing something like this for Gabriel and the Guardians, of course, there's years and years down the line when you have like, thick, tanko bonds and a stack of them, like 10, 20, a full series, and we'll see if that happens for Gabriel and the Guardians. But to do something like that for Gabriel and the Guardians would be a really cool thing. And when Student of God sent that to me in the DMs, talking about doing this, for the Rippaverse, and I think this would be a really cool thing to do for an event for the Rippaverse, to have something like that be really collectible. Would absolutely love to see that. But that's this is what I thought of when you sent me that. I was thinking like, oh, wouldn't that be cool to do that for Gabriel and the Guardians? down the line if they can get to the point where they have enough content to collect it all into like a series of 20 standard manga volumes. That would be cool to see, to do something like that. And I think that's something you could do for like it's something you could honestly do for Rippaverse books as well. Have something on the spine, and you could probably do like both. But yes, comic book spines are typically really thin, so I'm not sure how well that would work. Whereas you look at these definitely are going to be a lot thicker. And I've got, I could compare it, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, we've got, I don't know, 14 people in the chat right now. Those are trading cards, what Student of God is saying. And yeah, it does seem to be like that. So if you're saying to do something like that with Dokumon cards, I honestly think that would be a cool thing to do. If you had a stack or a set of Dokumon cards that were like that, that would honestly make more sense than what you're getting at. But I thought you were talking about books specifically. Let's see. DBZ, anything Tokyo Pop? You were trying to help me when I was looking for example to show what I was talking about. But yeah, I mean, if you did this as a set of like 9 Dokemon cards, a limited edition, that would be really cool as well. So I definitely would be for that. If it was a set of trading cards, I would be 100%. Dropped one of my supplement bottles. I think I need to throw this one out, but that's a whole other discussion. Let's see. Dokemon is telling me to let him cook. Now, I certainly will, Dokemon. I'll wait for the conversions, certainly. But yeah, I definitely think the idea the Student of God has with this is really cool. To do this for a set of Dokemon cards, I think I'd be on board with that. So, but yeah, we'll go and we'll cover the rest of the. Let's see if I can find. Open up Saints and Sinners. Definitely covered cover A. covered cover A. Let's see. We can go to cover B, and we'll look at this as well. Definitely don't think this is as a story. Let's see. I'm not sure. I think this might be. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Let's see what cover B covers. What the cover covers. But let's see here. Sure how much information I can get on all the covers. Garfield is saying he prefers cover E the most. Of course, cover E is Kanan's cover, and this is the Masprin cover. Honestly, I don't disagree with you necessarily on that, but I honestly think the best cover is cover B, and we'll go not cover B. Yes, cover A. Excuse me. Cover A is my favorite cover. I would say most likely. I just love this visual. It's a fantastic visual. Zaid is saying hello to or Zaid Comics saying hello to Garfield and saying hello back. Absolutely fantastic to see everyone in the chat. But yeah, I love this cover. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, I'll be covering all of these on the recorded episode of Braxcast Live. Not Braxcast Live. The recorded episode of Braxcast number 65. If I'm getting if I've kept up with numbering them correctly, because I've been doing it. I've been doing Braxcast, the recorded episodes, for over a year, every Saturday. It's been like, God, man, time flies, man. That's the thing. Like I'm 27 now. And it's like, man, it kind of just feels like yesterday when I turned 20, and I'm almost 30. So I'm gonna wake up one day and I'm gonna be an old man. I won't be able to walk anymore. So man, time flies, man. That's absolutely the truth of reality. But yeah, so we went and we covered cover B. I think cover B is a really cool looking cover. It's hard to tell, and there's 5 covers, and of course there's only really 4 covers that focus on. This is of course Across the Bear. This is of course Chasing Ghosts. This is of course just the cover E, which Garfield was saying was his favorite or is his favorite. I should use the present tense. It's just a general, like it shows all the characters that are involved in this book. Let's see. They're a young man. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, one little push. This could be one little push, might be, but absolutely, or I think decent chance it is Bone God. But I went home when I meant to go and check out Saints and Sinners. Of course, we love to see. Man, this art is fantastic, and I can't exactly, but I just love Ingrid's character design. Of course, she's got that moped, she's got the motorcycle, and of course, we see. I think it looks like McDavies. We got Ingrid there. We got Sandy Kim, of course, being very angry at Ingrid, and then we've got Big Tuna. We love, man, it's going to be so cool to see Big Tuna in the past. Other side of the fence is saying, let's see, the 4 main covers are meant to represent all the new writers' stories. Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Pretty cool of Zachary the Shout Out Eric. Their collaboration probably involves a charity, but maybe it's additional things. Yeah, I think what we're going to see come out of that is a charity collaboration. So there could be definitely like a fundraiser for I forget exactly. It's like Nerd something, where they do like a whatever hour live stream as a fundraising event. But that doesn't preclude Zachary Levi from never working with the Rippaverse after that. In fact, it ensures that there's going to be a connection between them. So that way, when Rippaverse Studios is in the position where they can make more long form content, Zachary Levi is probably going to be at the top of the casting list. And of course, this is the underdog. This story is done by Cliff Richards, and this honestly, Big Tuna throwing. I mean, I'm not sure if this is Larry Shungite. I don't think it is, but decent chance that it is. And it's very much like it very much reminds me of the action from Isom, which of course certain people are going to say that's a bad thing because of course because there is this very loud angry sect of people that are determined to ensure that Isom is remembered as the worst comic book ever made. But just that reminded me, that scene reminds me of the scene from Isom 1, I think, where Avery throws someone around in Club Merc when he's like going to Darren to really show it to him. I absolutely love the look of that. Fantastic. So really cool to see Cliff doing something that's not Isom related. Of course, there was some fan art from. I'll see if I can get Pow's. Because Pow is the artist for Perfect 10. I've reviewed Perfect 10. I've did my Perfect 10 overview. Let's see. And I absolutely loved Pow's art. He's such a fantastic artist. And we'll get on his Twitter account. Even if I'm not sure this is ironic, but even if he is a Mormon, he's a fantastic artist. But I'm not sure if I can. Well, we can actually go on to media. I couldn't necessarily can't necessarily find it on his media here, but he did a really fantastic like fan art piece of medieval Isom. I think it might be let's see. Oh yeah, very nice of Eric to repost my tweet announcing this live stream. Here we go. I found it. This is Pow's fan art piece. Eric shared it, and I just got it. So yeah, it is Larry Shungite. So I was right on this, but this is a fantastic piece by Pow. This is medieval Isom, which is not something that exists at all. It'd be kind of cool if it did. It would make no sense for it to do. For a medieval Isom to exist in the Rippaverse lore. But I would say you should get in contact with Pow and offer him a young Isom series to draw because he's a fantastic art. He's got like such a lockdown on the classic comic art, which just how thick his lines are, the way he shows proportion, of course, the way he draws, the male form is very, got that very exaggerated look to it. Of course, the female form does as well. You look at 10, she's an absolute bombshell. Wow, wee wow. Absolutely love to see Perfect 10's design brought to life. And I agree, Pow is great, Zaid. which is why I think Pal, if he's not too busy with drawing stuff for Dave, he should definitely do some interior artwork for the Rippaverse, or at least get commission him for a cover. Eric, come on. He's a fantastic artist. You definitely should offer him some work, because he's such a good artist. It would be absolutely, I don't say criminal, but it would be a misstep if you guys didn't at least get in contact with Bound and say, hey, you want to do a cover for an upcoming book, you want to do interior artwork for a book, perfectly welcome to do so. He's definitely proven himself to be he's definitely good enough of an artist to be doing stuff with the Rippaverse. He can stand up to the best with them. So I just definitely wanted to highlight that fantastic artist in Pal Rodricks. And like I said, you can watch my Perfect 10 overview and my review of Perfect 10 issue number 5. And Dave from Genuine Comics watched that. Appreciate him liking watching those reviews. If you want to see Pal's artwork, and it's absolutely fantastic. So if you guys want to know why I like Pal Roderick so much, you can watch my Perfect 10 reviews, and you'll get that. You'll get the you'll see Pal's interior art. He's such a fantastic artist. But yeah, we're coming up on an hour. So we're gonna start winding down. So I thought Eric said that Pal has done some unreleased work for the Rippaverse. I mean, if he did, that's fantastic. I just don't know if that's a confirmed thing. Of course, Andrew is not. I'm sure if that's something that Eric wasn't meant to say, that came off like slipped off the cuff, Andrew's going to be like, well, why do we have NDAs if the Saskas, if Eric is somebody's just going to keep leaking stuff? But if Pal is working on stuff for the Rippaverse, that's fantastic already. But if not, then, or if that can't be confirmed or denied, he said it in the tweet where he shared the fan art. Let's see if we can go. Let's see. For clarification, this isn't the unreleased work. This was just fan art. Man, I'm such a dummy. He says he's done some unreleased work with us. Fantastic to see. Oh, can't wait to see what Pal is working on. So we'll see if it's a cover, or if it's interior art. I hope it's interior art. But this is really, really cool to see, and I'm glad you guys gave Pal that work, because like I said, he's a fantastic artist. He definitely deserves a gig from you guys. So I'm really, really excited to see what Pal is working on. But of course, I'm not going to bug Andrew about that, because I'm sure that is NDA. But yeah, we're coming up on an hour, and I think it's a pretty good medium for that. Yeah, of course, no idea. You don't know anything that goes on. But yeah, I'm going to start winding things down. I think an hour is a pretty good amount of time for me to live stream. I'm not I don't know. I don't think I'm the best showman. But if anybody wants to come on and gab with me for a little bit, I could definitely go for 20 minutes or so. If Andrew wants to come in, if Jay Freepio wants to come in. Yeah, it's just show starting in 30 minutes. Big announcement tonight. So I definitely don't want to step on Zaid's toes. So be sure to follow Zaid Comics, because that is his channel right there. So you can just click on it, follow, you can subscribe, and then you can watch his live stream. He's going to be talking about the people, I believe. And when I reviewed Lost Pages, so nice of Phil and Brandon to send me review copies for the Lost Pages, and of course Magic Cop, and I enjoy both of those. I really enjoyed the people. So the fact that you guys are doing more stuff with that, and I think you guys have released standalone stories for the people, is going to be really cool. So it'll be cool. I definitely will have that in on the background as just winding down. It's definitely I mean, it's Friday, so it's the weekend, so that's what you're going to do. So unless anybody wants to come in to the live stream, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, if Andrew wants to come on to the chat, and we can go to the solo layout, and we can gab for a couple of minutes, and then I'll get you guys all out of here. So that way I'm not stepping on Zaid's toes when he does his live stream, because we're both small channels, and we got 11 people watching here right now. We got Andrew in the chat. How are you doing, fine sir, tonight?
How's it going, bud? I'm doing pretty well. Keeping busy as I do.
Yeah, so hey, I'm on camera now. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are keeping busy. I mean, launched Saints and Sinners, and I'm so bad. Like I'm trying to look at both. I'm gonna put that both ways. So yeah, I can actually kind of look forward a bit and kind of see you. But let's see. So we've got with Saints and Sinners. What about the anthology series interests you the most in terms of the long term? Because I imagine you guys intend on Saints and Sinners being this like series that's ongoing. So the implications of that, what about that interests you the most?
Well, there are a lot of different directions we can take it, but the thing I think that excites me the most about it is, at least just on its face, the fact that we're introducing more writers and more artists into the Rippaverse, more creative teams. So, obviously, as with all the Ripazine shorts, Sersha and Salvage that, have gotten their full either graphic novel or ongoings announced, things like that. You guys give us our feedback. How do you feel about the short stories that are presented in Saints and Sinners? And, we'll go from there depending on how things look and how it's received and all that. But the important thing being we're getting more voices, we're getting more writers at various not even just skill levels, but levels of exposure and levels of publication history. Obviously, you have Will Jordan, the critical drinker, who has, I think, just shy of a dozen actual prose long form novels that he's written. He's also written movie script. So he's not new to writing at all. And the quality of his script for One Little Push speaks to that. And that's impressive too, because it is a far different medium, especially to do a 16-page short comic book script compared to, a, a long form prose novel, traditional novel that is hundreds of pages and very dense with words and dialogue, right? So it's a much different medium, and yet he pulled it off very well. Mahler's was actually probably the most surprising for me personally. Um, and though Mahler definitely talks like he knows storytelling, considering he's able to do these really long form, several hour long breakdowns of movies and things like that. Um, it's one thing to talk about that, it's another thing to actually do it and show that you not only have the understanding from a consumer perspective of what's good and what's not, but that doesn't always necessarily translate into being able to do it yourself as well. And Mahler can do it as well. And Bone God is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I guess I'll speak to this a little bit because I've written two books, Machine to Man and From Men to Machines, and those are longer form. They're not like hundreds of pages, but I've written two comic book scripts as well. I still would say I'm very amateurish, but if you can get down writing prose fiction, that can translate pretty well to writing comics. You of course have to understand what makes a comic book good, and I think there's a lot of ways to go about writing comic book scripts. Like the first one I ever wrote was like a page by page breakdown because I'm imagining like, okay, if I'm the artist, like how would the page look in my head? Whereas like the second one I wrote was just like general descriptions of like what the page is, and then you let the artist do what they do. And I think that's the thing with any sort of comic book writing is that the artist is going to have so much input in how the story is told because it's of course a visual medium. So if you have someone who understands that and has the general skills of writing how to structure a story, what makes something good, then it's going to translate pretty well. It sounds like I forget you're talking about critical drinker. Definitely understands storytelling,
Yes.
visual storytelling, right? So I think it's not surprising that he would be able to make a good comic book script.
Yeah. All of the short stories in the Saints and Sinners anthology are a ton of fun. Were really well done. They've got great artists attached to each of them. I know the Saskas were super hyped to get to work with Cliff Richards, who is like kind of one of the foundational artists here, considering he does our flagship series in ISOM. Eric's story is kind of a surprise as well in terms of how it actually pans out. And I think people are going to be really, really shocked and pleased with that one. Chasing Ghost was a bit of a surprise as well. And people were, you said it earlier on in the show, people have been asking for a bit more of a expounding upon Ingrid as a solo character, or at least having a bit of a short solo adventure. And this story gives us that, which is great because it's a ton of fun. The art is fantastic. And Jay, people who, follow Rippaverse, they know Jay can write, and he did the Achromatic Chronicles Blue, Achromatic Chronicles Green, and whatever NDA colors coming after that. And Across to Bear was a really cool one. A really, really cool one.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, that's going to really lean heavy into the Christian themes, of course.
He also has my favorite cover.
Yeah,
that cover D by Eddie
yeah, no,
Souza.
that cover D is fantastic because it's just,
I'm buddies with the artist.
Yeah. Let's see. So, other side of the fence is asking if it's a court story, like Night Court. I
No.
guess. Okay. I thought you were going to say, who knows? NDA. Because you love to be vague like that.
I do.
Yeah, man. But I guess, I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, Zalen is fulfilling. I'm getting it on Sunday, so I'm going to be reading and reviewing that soon.
That book is so out of control. It's
yeah.
so
with the Rippaverse going cosmic, like how soon can we expect to have more happening outside of Flores Park? Of course, we know at the end of Blood Roof #1, Flores Park is central to the Rippaverse, and it's going to keep being the case. But how many more stories do we have that are outside of the outside of Flores Park, I should say, and how influential is that going to be for the Rippaverse going forward?
We have more stories coming that are outside of Flores Park, ones that are in production now, both announced and unannounced. As far as things outside of our world, like outside of our planet, NDA.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody keep demanding more dirty deeds.
Yeah,
please. I will continue to pound that hammer.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think a dirty D's, like I said, and I'll stand by this. Having a 250 to 300 page limited series for dirty deeds, I think is something that's definitely in order. Caro and Evan really proved themselves on that short story, and I think if not that, Spangy needs to have his own short story in Saints and Sinners #2. Yeah, so yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Garfield. My Zelen has shipped, so I'll read that on Sunday, get that review out for you guys. And of course, just really excited to see more of Joe's art because he's such a fantastic artist.
Zalen is his best work at the Rippaverse yet.
Wow, that's really saying something because he really, everything he draws, he always outdoes himself, and those 2-page spreads are just chef's kiss. But yeah, so it's going to be really exciting to get Zalen. Always love when we get these new books to come in and talk about, and we just get to find out more. And of course, with Zalen being cosmic, really just inserting that cosmic aspect to Rippaverse. So want a comedy story. That's what Other Side of the Fence is saying.
Ask for a comedy story. Well, I will say, if you guys demand more dirty deeds and we get more dirty deeds, as somebody who knows where Kara wants to take the story and what she's doing with the story in terms of like what her plans are, if it gets greenlit for more, that's a funny book. There is a lot of humor. It's not a comedy, an out-and-out comedy. Like, it's not meant to be a joke, but there are jokes in it that are hysterical. So ask for more.
Yeah. No,
ask and you shall receive.
Yes. Yeah. Knock and you will find. Ask and you shall receive. But you, not you, but yeah, I definitely in Dirty Deeds see that you can have a lot of humorous moments in the Dirty Deeds crew. So I definitely see like it being a story that has a serious overtone with funny moments in it, and I think that's what Caro is going for, and that's 100% what I'm for. But I know you say good gab for 30 minutes, but I think I don't know. I don't have too much more to say, and I don't want to go on like forever because we could probably talk for hours, and I don't want to step on Zaid's toes because he's live streaming about like less than 20 minutes from now. So with Saints and Sinners, what is the biggest takeaway you want the fan base to have going into the book when we get to read it in a couple months from now?
Going into this, don't go into reading Saints and Sinners as though it's just a bunch of YouTube commentators who decided to write comic stories. Forget that it's as writing Chasing Ghosts, the YouTube personality. Read it as what it is, which is a solo short story starring Ingrid Valdez in the Rippaverse. Do the same thing with Bone God and Molly. Do the same thing with Critical Drinker and One Little Push. Do the same thing with Jay's story Across to Bear. And I think if you remove that lens of YouTube commentators, because a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to be skeptical initially. These stories are good. They're good comic book stories. Approach them as that. Approach them as comic book stories and judge them to your subjectivity as to how much you enjoyed them. And I think you'll get genuine enjoyment out of them.
Yeah, no, it sounds fantastic, and I think that's honestly the way to go about it. I think people get really caught up into mixing the indie comic book scene with the YouTube presence. And now, of course, you've got the drama farmers that are really more into the YouTubing, and then the comic books are secondary, if anything. That really is the
I don't know nothing about it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic thing to do. Let's see. So, other side of the fence is saying he fought all 6 stories connected. I don't think that's at all the case. I think they seem to be their own things. But that is really, I think that's the best way to do it. Trying to connect them all would be a bit confusing. And like I said before, you can really experiment with short stories, and to have this anthology series going to really give you guys the ability to really test the waters for what works and what doesn't. You guys can do things that are going to be a little bit more out there, because I think something like Across the Bear definitely is something that you guys wouldn't be for doing a full on one shot, but it's definitely something you guys can do justify as like a 15-page short story, right?
Well, who knows what happens if people really, really love that one in particular? We never know until it's in fan hands. We can suspect, we can make judgments based on market data and what we see within our fan base, what you guys are saying in Discord, here on YouTube, in the Facebook fan group, on X, and all of that. It all comes down to the fans. It all comes down to what the fans want. And I know that the fans have been wanting a more diverse range of like art styles. You're going to get a lot more of that really soon. I know one of the standout commentaries on Dirty Deeds in particular was that we didn't have anything else in the Rippaverse that looked anything like that book. It has its own unique look, and not just in terms of character design, but art style in general. So you're going to see a lot more of that moving forward. So you're going to see a lot more books that look wholly different from each other. There's going to be a far more defined delineating line between styles when it comes to our releases. And that's going to really help more people find their niche and more people find what they enjoy the most when it comes to our comic book universe. And that's really cool to know. You're going to see more writers. You're going to see more artists. It's a great time to be working here at the Rippaverse. It's a great time to be a fan of comic books in general right now if you're reading our books, and many of the other great indie books that are out there as well. Obviously, the guys over at Iconic that are doing a great job, and what have you. So I know Zaid's got his own books as well. There are a lot of people out there grinding and putting out great work.
Yeah, and shout out to Genuine Comics. Pal works with Dave Brink from Genuine Comics, and he does fantastic work there, and he's doing fantastic work for you guys. But yeah, so Garfield is saying Mahler's Bone God seems to delve into eldritch horror, and he's there for it. Is that an accurate is that an accurate assessment? Yeah.
NDA.
Yeah. That's one where I felt like I was making some progress with you, where you were going to be forthcoming and speaking, but it's like, let's see, we need more
keeping me on your toes.
Yeah, keeping me on my toes. I absolutely love that. So, need more cowbell. Is that a specific character, or is that like a theme, Garfield?
No, that's an old joke from freaking Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah, that's a bit before my time, right? Let's
a little
see.
bit.
Yeah. But this is so this is Zaid's live stream. So I think that's going to be starting in just about 10 minutes. So you see that leading into Chasing Ghosts, Bone God. So yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some connections, but I don't think it's going to be like a strong connection between something like Yaira 1 and Yaira 2, right? Where it's like picking up right after, or even, Yaira 1 and ISOM number 1, where Yaira 1 starts, with an event that happens in ISOM number 1. So I don't think it's going to be that strong, but I definitely think there's going to be some overlap since they all take into.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
All of those writers worked completely independently of each other.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. And I think that's the way that I like it, where you have all these writers who are writing in the same universe. They're being kept on track, so they're not going to do anything that conflicts with stuff that happens in the universe, but they don't necessarily need to be making sure that it all links together. And you're like in Sunny in Philadelphia, it's like, oh man, I gotta like connect everything, right?
The red yarn. Yeah.
Exactly. I think there's a happy medium. I think you guys are definitely going to get there. Of course, I'll judge for myself when I read the book, and if I find anything that I think is lore breaking, I'll say, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. But yeah, I think with that stream, I know Sunaga wants me to keep going for until Zayd starts live streaming, and he should start live streaming at 7:30, so like literally 10 minutes from now. So I mean, I guess I could stay on, but
if you have the ability to raid him, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, so but I don't even think YouTube. It's not like Twitch where it has the rating ability.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does?
YouTube does have a raid feature. You have to set it up though in the back end in your dashboard, and he also would have to set it up in the back end of his dashboard that allows you specifically your channel to raid him. So if that's not already set up, then you wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I don't think I got.
YouTube doesn't have an easy way of rating, unlike Twitch. Twitch has a lot of problems, but rating is super easy.
Well, that's the thing with Twitch, is that Twitch has they have a lot of good live streaming functionality. I mean, of course, it all exists so the Twitch moderators can simp for the e-girls, but they do have good live streaming functions, right? And Garfield saying congrats to 150K on the book.
Hey, shout out to all of the creatives that are part of the Saints and Sinners team. So Eric, the Saskas, Jay, Will, Calum, Az, y'all did a great job, and it's well deserved success. I'm excited for this to continue to climb and do well, because it's opening up a lot of opportunities potentially in the future for more writers. So
yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, I said, I guess I would love to write for the Rippaverse, but that's not like an obligation. But yes, I'd love to do the Braxwell short story, right? but just giving opportunities to newcomers in the industry, highlighting what veterans can do as well. You got Cliff Richards, who's definitely been around the block a couple of times. You got new writers like Az, who are writing wrote for Chasing Ghosts in this book. Absolutely fantastic to see that. And it's going, like I said, there's so much you can do with an anthology series that you don't have to worry about, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So I definitely hope this is something that you guys keep doing for years to come, along with everything else in the Rippaverse. And with how much is going on, I definitely have you have the space in the coffers to fund stuff like this and keep going like that. So really exciting to see Saints and Sinners. Absolutely fantastic announcement. I wanted a anthology series for a long time. I think thematically you guys got it on point. You guys got an all-star team to really knock it out of the park with all these stories from what I've seen so far. And of course, the fan base is responding well. This has made almost $200,000 in not even a week, and it's probably going to hit most, if not all, of the milestones you guys have set. We're going to get that hardcover. We're going to get that
on a great pace so far. That's for darn sure. We have no complaints over here about the pace that Saints and Sinners is doing.
Yeah, I mean, Edwin and Boyette has said that off of the collection numbers, now that doesn't track all the actual sales on the store that aren't tracked, over $2.5 million. So you guys are really comfortable with the profit margins. You guys are really comfortable with how you're operating the business. I mean, you guys aren't collapsing. You guys know how to operate a business, right?
Despite what some business illiterate people might tell you, we are actually green and up in every measurable metric. across the board. So
Yeah.
in fact, there was a short that was put out across social media where Eric says exactly that. That was from one of our Rippaverse roundtable streams.
Yeah, I did see that mentioned, but yeah, I mean, with how Edwin reports on the numbers, with
Edwin does great work with that.
yeah, absolutely. And just the general, enthusiasm. Of course, the fact that you guys, I mean, I'm sure you guys still have ISOM #1 money because it's just so much. But yeah, Garfield was
It's a
saying,
lot.
yeah, when I pre-order something, something else gets released. Yeah, that's the thing is that that's like, oh man, Great War Separation 2 came out like maybe like a week after I finished reading 1. I'm like, you guys were like, oh, you won't have to wait long for Great War Separation 2 to come out. And I was not expecting it to be that short. And it was like when I read Yaira
No,
number
we were
2,
being cheeky.
yeah, when I read Yaira number 2 and I got to the end, it's like Yaira number 3 this year. I'm like, oh man, maybe they'll be like in the fall or the winter. It's like, yeah, no, it's not even before the summer. It was like maybe a couple of weeks after Yaira number 2 was fulfilled. It's like it was Yaira number 3 went up for pre-order. But yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. So I'm going to post this again. This is Zaid's link. So he's going to be live in 5 minutes. So I think we're good to end it here. We could probably gab on for hours and hours about comic books. And of course, the comic book money. Other side of the fence, not impressed by it, and I guess it's not necessary because to me
We
this
don't
is
need people to be impressed by the money. We're using the money to make more good comics.
yeah, that's the thing that I really care about more so than like pointing to some sort of number that a book makes or the total amount of money the Rippaverse makes and saying that, oh, the Rippaverse is good because it has X amount of money made. It's like, well,
I think people forget the reason why we point at the money when it comes to milestones and things like that for these collections means that's because we're able to point to that and say, hey, we can justify doing more of this. We can now, because we've made X amount of dollars on this, we can start greenlighting production on some other projects and get those going so that we can give our fans more products and more fun, more projects to enjoy, more stories, more great art. And that's what it's about. It's about giving y'all more stories. And we're able to do that because of the money. We could sit on a high horse and say, oh, well, the money isn't important. And that's easy to say, but it's not worth very much if you're not making enough money to continue making the projects that you love.
yeah, no, I agree. And the thing is, I'm a big ticket buyer of the Rippaverse, or I guess whale is the term you would use. And the only reason why like I've spent as much money as I've done, I'm so invested, is because I genuinely like the books. I like what you guys are doing at the Rippaverse. So to me, it's not an either or; it's a both and. It's like I spent a lot of Rippaverse money on the Rippaverse because I like the Rippaverse, and I think you guys have a lot of money over at the Rippaverse, or you've made a lot of profit because the fact that there's a lot of fans that think that what you guys are doing are good and giving you that mandate economically to make more content. And I think that's really the best way. Of course, we got Edwin in the chat coming in at the tail end of the live stream. Always nice to see you. We were just talking about your fantastic work. Let's see. Let's see. So you could always take the money and never release the book. Oh, wait. That's what saying. So
we're here about making comics.
Yeah, so that's I don't want to necessarily get into that. So other side of the fence saying, if you guys drop DD without fan approval, I bet it would sell well. I mean, I'm not sure about that. And the thing is that the fans like Dirty Deeds, so it doesn't really matter. I guess it's a hypothetical. But I mean, if people didn't like Dirty Deeds and you guys went and made a full length book anyway, I don't think it would sell that well. But the thing with Dirty Deeds is that the fans like it. I don't see anybody.
It's an unnecessary what if.
Yeah.
Because the fans have clearly already liked Dirty Deeds by Caro and Evan. So, we'll continue to look at those numbers and metrics and see what's next. Because listening to your buyers, your consumer base, is how you continue to make money. And then with that data, you try and expand that consumer base. But you always want to make your base demographic happy, because they're your ride or dies. Those are the ones that are going to be around as long as you're giving them stuff that they enjoy.
Yeah, so Scorpio is saying more Dirty Deeds, but I guess yeah, Dirty Deeds graphic novel should be easy to promote. But I think we're
I
gonna
would agree.
yeah,
I would agree.
but yeah, I guess you're saying like if you guys didn't make it in the Ripazine and just made let's say a 72-page version and put it out, I'd still think that would sell well because Evan's art's really good. So showing previews of that and the concept of it, people will respond to it really well. And
Mhm.
I think that goes based off of like any collection. I mean, Horseman did really well, and people, we didn't know about that. Zalen, of course, did really well, and fans didn't know about that. But that's really all I have to say. Like, Zayd is going to start live streaming right now, so it should be his time. So everybody head over to Zayd's live stream, and we are going to go into that. So I'm going to end it here. Absolutely fantastic. Love all of you guys talking, especially even you other side of the fence. I'm not even you. I'd say especially you. Love all you guys that come up and show up. And of course, thank you, Andrew, for everything you do at the Rippaverse, and of course, having this fantastic conversation.
I just get to be surrounded by talented people.
Yeah, that's what you say. But I definitely think that even if you don't feel like you're the most essential cog, you're still, I would say, important. I still like.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, still like the energy that you got. But Zayd's live